Welcome to Panther Sports Talk. We're talking UNI Panther Volleyball with head coach Bobbi Petersen. Bobbi, your team 7-7 on the season, 2-0 as you start Missouri Valley Conference play, but it really started with that non-conference portion of the schedule. You faced 5 teams that were in the top 25, and you really challenged your kids, and sweeping the opening weekend of MVC play might be a sign of that. But what did you learn about your team in that non-conference portion of the schedule?
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things during that non-conference time. We're trying to figure out who we are and what we're going to be about, and we definitely put challenges in front of them to work at figuring those things out. And I think one of the things that we know is that we want to get better at a lot of things still. And so I think the only negative part of a non-conference schedule is you don't get a lot of time to practice. So you thrive for that conference time because you have more of a schedule that's the same and you can actually practice. So we're looking forward to getting some practice time to work on those things. But I think just consistency in everything that we do. We've showed a lot of signs of some really good offense, and we talk about being able to be less predictable, and that's getting everybody involved. And it's not just the hitters that are a part of that. There's so much that goes into that. So the little things that we need to do better to get more different offense going, have more people involved, and that's one of our biggest pluses that we need to work on. Also on the defensive side, we could be as scrappy as anybody in the country, and there's other times we're not as disciplined, so being more consistent with some of those things. So lots of challenges we had in the non-conference schedule, but I just love the way this team competes. I love the way they stick together and keep battling, and I'm looking forward to the conference season for sure.
How did the kids handle the competition that they faced? Some nights they'll take some licks in a set or two, right? But being able to either bounce back, that's one thing you might be looking at, but also just being able to refocus in a match.
Yeah, I think those are great things, and that's one thing we love about volleyball. It's like you can have a really bad set and you still have the opportunity to win the match. You know, there's more sets ahead, and I think the ability to, even within a set, to be able to bounce back, because I think you can build momentum even if you end up not winning that set. But we showed a lot of that, and then we showed times where we didn't, and I think that's just as much of a learning thing as well. So we had opportunities to really go and play some just really good volleyball. You know, lots of times you say, oh, well, maybe they didn't play as well, but it was good volleyball when we were doing well and when we were in sets or winning sets, so that was great to see.
You got a really great senior class this year. Talk about the leadership that you're seeing. Kira Fallert, Olivia Chernagel, Grace Makota, Aaron Powers, as well as a transfer in there. How important is that upperclassmen group?
Yeah, I think the cool thing about them, they couldn't be more different in their leadership style. So you get 5 really different types of leaders. And one thing when you're involved in a team, I think lots of players respond differently to different types of leadership. So when you have 5 different types of leadership, you're hoping that one of those, we have everybody on our team that will relate to. And I think they do a really good job of trying to, it's hard too, because you need to really have sometimes where that one person just steps up and takes control. And I still think we're working a little bit on that. You know, sometimes you have to get a little bit more out of your comfort zone with leadership. It can't just be what you're comfortable with, and so we're working a little bit on that. But wow, 5 kids that bring so much to our program, and you look at it like with Kira and Liv, they've been on the court so much, so they have that experience. They've learned a lot from some really great players. Casey has been just a dream because she just brings a whole different perspective to a lot of things, and it's really been great to have her. And obviously Grace's whole story, which we have talked about many times, someday we'll share. And then obviously Aaron running the backcourt. So lots of different leaders and doing great things for us.
Bobbi, and they're continuing a legacy of UNI Volleyball here. This is the 50th season of Panther Volleyball. Special to kind of remember some of those top memories. And when you played at UNI Volleyball, even back in the 80s, what was the tradition like then? Because I know since then, right, 25 NCAA tournaments, 3 Sweet 16s. The tradition certainly got rich in the late 90s, but go all the way back to the 80s.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, we always seem to have like kind of a chip on your shoulder with something to prove type mentality. And when you have that, you're going to bust it every day. And I think the work ethic and what we did in the gym, not just on the court during game day, was one of the biggest things that I love about our tradition. It is the family part, because I think when you can build a family, you trust each other a lot more on the court. So being able to do that way back then, I remember you don't want to be a boyfriend that just broke up with one of our players because you had the whole team to deal with. So it's just little things like that that are even off the court that I think obviously continue today as well.
And then talk about your staff. I know it's filled with Panther alums as well. Yourself, Michelle and Kim all played at UNI. guy, and they certainly help make sure that that tradition gets passed down.
Yeah, I think, it's interesting because I think we've all of us have talked about how you just have a certain responsibility. It's you want to, but you feel responsible because they've all been a part of it. Obviously, a huge part of it when you look at what Kim's been able to do on the court, but she just brings that mentality that I'm talking about. She is a fighter and she's going to put it all out there, just that grittiness and that discipline she brings. And then obviously Michelle was back a little bit further to those days and really competitive as well. So it's really nice having those two. And we always talk about it. We don't want teams that want to just rely on the tradition that we have. We want teams to come in and to contribute to the tradition. And we work really hard at trying to present that as well.
All right, more on 50 years of Panther volleyball and this year's team when we return.